Okay, back again, friends and viewers, for the second round of my post-Baltimore Comic-Con wrap-up. This is going to be my mini haul video. I just gave my thoughts and ramblings in a separate video. Go watch that. I'll link it down below. But this is the haul video that I had, just a few things that I picked up at the con. I'll tell you a little bit about my interest in some of these artists and how I found their stuff and what I wanted to buy but ultimately couldn't and ended up buying in its place. So here we go. First off, I'd like to give shout outs to two guys that were in the Artist Alley with Kurt and myself, who I talked to for a little bit and who were really, really awesome dudes. Both, a little older, probably in their 40s or so. And it was cool to see them kind of trucking along both with other jobs and making this work for them as not a full-time thing, but something that's a passion project. One was John O'Connor, who's a writer, and he and I had a really, really great conversation. He used to work on screenplays for movies, and we geeked out about movies for quite a while, and we geeked out about different comic books and stuff, and I ended up picking up this 6-issue series from him called Black Dawn. And the reason I did was because he was so friendly, like I said, about talking and sharing his experience as a writer, but I also really, really like his style in this. I'm working on scripting out comics right now, and it's difficult for me to start and get it to a place that I'm happy with, having not done much of that in my life. And John was really helpful in sort of showing me, when I was reading through these books, they're very, very visually narrative dominated. What I mean by that is there's not excessive dialogue, and there's a lot of really, really smart visual and sequential storytelling in these. And that's the kind of writer that I would like to, ultimately be as well. So really, really recommend this series. There's also a trade paperback, but unfortunately John sold out of them. So I got these 6 issues. And I would highly recommend finding his stuff online. I'll see if I can find a link to his website and post it down at the bottom, because this is a really cool, I think it's almost like a end of the world kind of survival tale, almost like verging on apocalypse sort of thing. And his storytelling is really, really good. He's just a phenomenally intelligent guy, extremely friendly, so highly, highly recommend checking him out. And then I also met a gentleman named Neil King, who was there doing sketches, and he is really interesting because he has like a few all-ages books that he's working on and he was selling there. But what he does at a lot of these conventions is he goes and he just sketches all day, and he sells them for $10 a sketch. So I picked up this Swamp Thing sketch that I think is really, really nice. He has this really cool style of like ink washes and sort of, obviously it's not photorealistic in any sense, and I love it. It's very, very his own. It's very cool. It's all, inks and ink washes, and he had a bunch of different characters. I sort of gravitated towards the Swamp Thing one, and I think his stuff was really awesome. So again, I'll post a link to some of his actual sequentials that were there. But if you ever see this guy, Neil King, at a convention that's sort of local to you, he just has tons and tons of sketch material that you can pick up for not very much at all, and it's a really high quality. I think he just kicks ass, so check him out. And into the book side of things, I only really picked up 2 comic books. One of them was a little more substantial than the other. The first was this first issue of 1984, which was one of the Warren magazines put out along with Creepy and Eerie, and I think Vampirella was Warren as well. Those are a little more popular, but 1984 is another kind of sci-fi anthology magazine. It contained a lot of different work from really, really awesome artists that I like a lot. Specifically, Alex Nino was something that I was looking at to collect some stuff from him at this convention. And so I was able to find this. It's not like super rare, but it was a nice copy, and it was from this guy named Paul who set up this amazing booth. He had so much cool stuff. He just was a total geek boy and just wanted to talk to you about everything that he had. It was awesome. I was glad to pick this up from him. Nothing incredible, but a really cool anthology magazine. 1984, which was later changed to, I think it was 1990 and then 1994 at the request of the George Orwell state, because obviously 1984 is most synonymous with his novel. So it was very, very cool to grab this. I've read a little bit of it. It's a very cool old school anthology style series. And I'm looking forward to collecting more of these because I don't believe that they've been collected in any archives like the other creepy and eerie stuff has so far. Next up was a really awesome find, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't complete the purchase because this guy that was there, I saw on the very first day, was selling the EC Archives, the EC Complete Library slipcases that I really, really want to collect all of, but are relatively hard to find and very pricey when you do find them. So I picked up this one, which is the Complete Weird Science Fantasy and Incredible Science Fiction, which is a 2-volume set, not too big, but I ended up scooping it for $40, and I haven't seen it anywhere online for under like $180. So I was very, very happy to find this. I had a cool conversation with him, and we talked about this old school stuff and how we both really dig it. This is interesting because it is a continuation of, if you know anything about EC Comics, which I will do a video on soon, I promise. They had a weird fantasy and a weird science line of books, and they merged into this title, which was Weird Science Fantasy, creatively titled, and then Incredible Science Fiction for the last couple issues. So there's it's just a really nice little slipcase. He also had, I think it was the complete Tales from the Crypt or something like that, and it was only $80, but I didn't want to pull the trigger on it at the moment. But I'm kicking myself now because that's like a $200 slipcase minimum, and oh man, I wish I had picked it up. But you know, it's really big, it's really heavy, and I had other stuff that I was looking for. So you know, sometimes you let stuff go. But whoever got that, good on you, because it's a really, really cool set. And then finally, what I was really trying to do at this convention is I'm sort of, I feel like, relatively caught up on a lot of the books that I want to get. You know, I still buy stuff that comes out. New releases and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff that I'm looking for is so so expensive now that I am sort of sitting in this middle stance where I can't really spend $400 on a book that's out of print, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to come back in print or whatever. So for me, this convention was a little bit less about finding books and a little bit more about looking at original artwork and portfolios and prints and stuff like that. Because despite being someone who has zero artistic ability, I am a total comic book art geek. I love the art of comic books and graphic illustrations and stuff like that. I am generally drawn, I think, more towards books that have their own unique art style and you know, artists who are really, really awesome to my eyes. Not to say that I don't like writers, you know, Brian K. Vaughan or the Neil Gaimans or Grant Morrisons or, you know, XYZ, name any of your writer, geek, fanboy, Warren Ellis, whoever. I love all those guys, and I love reading their stuff, but to me, there's something really, really special about finding just an incredible artist and just the layouts and the way that they put everything together. I just love it. I really, really love comic book art. So I went in thinking that I was going to try to buy some original interiors, you know, some actual pages that were drawn by somebody that I liked, but it was just a little too much. You know, the very least expensive ones that I was interested in were around the $300 mark, and it was, you know, it would then cost more to kind of display them nicely or do anything like that. So it wasn't something that for me at this moment is something I can get into, but I sort of have substituted or scratched the same itch by starting to collect portfolios. So I don't know if it's that common now. I don't see it happen that much, but throughout the 70s and early 80s, there were a lot of artists doing portfolios like this, where people who, you know, weren't working on books, monthly books necessarily, people like Bernie Wrightson, who was at this convention, Alex Nino, who I picked up a piece from, or Frank Frazetta, people who didn't work on sequential monthlies were doing instead these sort of like concept or pin-up art, these really large, awesome, mostly black and white portfolios. So then these portfolios were put out by different companies, usually containing anywhere from 6 to 10 or 12 plates, which is what they're called, these little prints in here. And some of them are very hard to find and expensive. Frazetta portfolios are like super expensive. There's other ones that mix sort of together, like Jack Kirby and Rudy Nebris, all these classic illustrators from the 60s and 70s. But the two that I picked up here, one I picked up that is a Bernie Wrightson portfolio, and I picked that up to have him sign it because he was there. It's called Apparitions. This is a really, really cool portfolio. It's only 4 prints or plates, but they are just totally beautiful. I mean, I love Bernie Wrightson. Like, I just think his stuff is so cool. He's like I mentioned in the previous video, he's known for his Swamp Thing work. Look at this thing. Like, so cool. It's so cool. He's known for creating Swamp Thing, and his style is one that is very ink heavy. He's just an awesome inker. He colored these plates. So that's one that I picked up, and I had him, he was there signing stuff, so I got his signature on the, I don't know if you can see it, but on the cover, and then he was kind enough to sign all of the different plates for me. So I was very, very happy to pick that up and kind of meet him and shake his hand and tell him how much I liked his stuff. And then what I also found was a very, very cool portfolio by one of my favorite artists, Alex Nino. And Alex Nino is one of a handful of Filipino artists who came in and really exploded in the late 60s, 70s in Marvel and DC. And his stuff is incredible. This is a 10-plate portfolio. It's just massively cool. It's just like picture after picture after picture of just mind-blowing, psychedelic, clean lines, amazing inking. Like, I just could look at this stuff all day long. And for me, like I said, I wanted to get like, oh my God, look at that. I wanted to get some of his original art, but it was just a little bit too expensive. So instead, I picked up some of this stuff to sort of eventually print, or frame rather, and put up on some walls, kind of have some more art around my place. I'm thinking that for the next, wow, just goddamn, dude. Ugh. I'm thinking that for the next little while I am too cash poor to seriously collect original art in any respect, I'm just going to be someone who looks at these portfolios as a really cool way of getting, displays and art in their house. Just, these are so cool. I looked for some hardcovers and some big books like that, and there were some cool books around, but nothing that was on like crazy discount. There were a few things that I could have got, but I passed up because they weren't really calling my name at the moment. I had other things I wanted to buy, but all in all, I think Baltimore was an awesome place for art shopping. Especially, there were a few guys who were running these booths that had more portfolios and prints like that, and then there were a few original art dealers there, which and then a lot of artists there, and you can often buy pages from artists who want to sell stuff or sign stuff for you. So, all in all, I think I had a really cool little convention mini haul. Nothing extraordinarily mind-blowing or anything, but definitely stuff that spoke to me. And, I'm happy that as a collector I have my own interests and my own voice, and it's not so much, I love this stuff. Certainly, I love anything that's, printed like that, but it's cool to sort of find a niche and find something to hunt for and to really get excited about, and to show people that isn't just, the next Star Wars volume, which I'm going to buy this Tuesday. I mean, I love that stuff too. I'm not saying that that's crappy, but it's nice to look at your collection and see something that is so completely your interest, and it's not just something that sort of everybody is buying and into. So I was really happy. I feel like I have sort of honed my interest a little more in terms of what artists and what things I like to collect. So, now it's just a time and money game. Where it's going to take a lot of both to find the things that I want. So it's a lifelong habit. addiction, disease, whatever you want to call it. But I had a really awesome time digging through stuff and talking to some retailers. And when you find a retailer who's into the same stuff as you, or somebody who owns a shop, and you can have one of those 15, 20 minutes like, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? Oh, I have this book. Everybody just goes back and forth, and it's this real super geekdom, just total nerd out. It's awesome. It's a really good feeling. So I would highly recommend, if you're into collecting at all, anything along the lines of original art to 99-cent back issues, whatever you want to get, check out conventions. Especially some of the bigger ones like Baltimore. Go on a Friday when there's not that many people there, or a Sunday when sort of the retailers are getting ready to wrap up, because you can find some really cool stuff, and you can definitely have those conversations that make the whole interest worthwhile. It makes it all worthwhile to know that there's somebody else out there who likes the same weird stuff that you do. Just like I hope you guys are getting some type of insight from all these weird ramblings I'm doing by myself in an apartment. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed showing all this little mini stuff. I would highly recommend checking out the two guys that I mentioned in this video, and I will see you guys next week when I get back to some reviews. I have a couple coming up that I am interested in talking about, so the schedule marches on, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. If any of you were at Baltimore Con, I don't think I saw any of you, but I hope you had a great time there. And if you liked this video, if you didn't, let me know. Comment on some cool stuff that you picked up at conventions, or any awesome. Do you guys collect any original art? I would love to see people's collection of portfolios or art or different prints, and really celebrate the illustration as an art form, because I think it's underrated and kind of pushed to the side a little bit, but man, it just really gets me going. I love looking at the stuff, and I think more people should talk about it. So I'll see you guys next time. Later.